Is March 31st, 5 o'clock p.m. I have Andrew DeLaurie, John Fuller, Kevin Higgins in attendance, missing Keith Arnold and David Lai, although they may arrive, and liaison Michael Herman is with us. So that being said, Peggy, do we have anybody for public speak?
No hands raised.
No hands raised. And I know we have Brian in the wings on the Zoom. The first thing I'd like to bring up is the outstanding punch list for the Veterans Memorial Park. Russ Kleekamp and Mike Rafferty had a meeting on March 26th, and this was the outcome of that meeting itself. They are to GFM and or the subcontractors to fill any remaining voids between the bricks, pavers, and concrete with poly sand prior to the winter, which should have been done, but I think the snow kind of impeded that to a bit. Chamfer seating the edge, chamfer the seating edge on the curved granite seating wall located near the Coast Guard bell. Still needs to be done. Test all electric outlets. Tripped breakers were observed and then reset during a visit. If one of the breakers continues to trip, one of them is tripping. Discuss the possibility of upgrading it with Ricard Electric. Open and inspect all electrical pull boxes, ensure covers come off and on and are not bound up, which was done. I do have a picture on that, which I will bring up in a few minutes when we start going over some of these other agenda items. Open and inspect stormwater grates and drains on site, remove debris if found, which was all done, and remove erosion control from the 2 catch basins on Academy Place. That still needs to be done, but they're waiting for the street sweeper to do their part. Russ said that he will update us with any other things that may come up during the punch list through GFM and Mike Rafferty. Yes, John?
I think we need to add to the punch list to put in lights that light the flag that are on photocells, so that light comes on when it gets dark, and there should be one on each side, and there should be LEDs.
Yeah, that actually is one item that I talked to Russ offline. Ricard still has an open punch list for the lighting for each of the memorials and the flagpole.
Okay.
So that's still in the works to be done, as well as the irrigation system. Paul is still slated to come in. They've got to blow the system out, and then he's going to reactivate it. And then he even said that for the next month or so, he's going to have to adjust a few of the sprinklers, whether they're spray or drip, depending on the vegetation. So he's going to come in and modify that. So those are 2 open punch list items, but because of the winter, they haven't opened any of that up yet. So.
Right, okay.
All right, want to update the committee on the Civil War soldier. We do have a CPC application in, which will be coming up on the May town meeting. It's for 100 and, I'm sorry, Michael.
Before we get off the irrigation, I just want to make sure they get updated with the new water regulations. Sue Brown coming out with the Board of Water and Sewer came up with regulations starting May 1st.
Okay.
And if he's going to be adjusting the irrigation, and drip irrigation's okay, but whatever their final details are, I think we just need to make sure that we are going to make sure all of our parks and properties follow the same as we're asking our residents to also.
Okay, I will forward that to.
Yeah, I'm not sure what time they had them going off, but I think they need to adjust them for after 5 before 6 a.m.
Yeah, and they have exceptions for new plantings too, so whatever they are, please don't go by what I'm saying, but I just want them to make sure they follow, because there's nothing, a lot of it started when, people were driving down, we had water restrictions, people were driving down Main Street and they would be seeing the town green being watered, and they were being told they couldn't water at those times, and we had not clearly closed the loop on everything. So.
Yeah, it was kind of rushed. Paul, had to do as much as he could before Veterans Day, and then of course they winterized everything right after. So he did find that a couple of the sweeps for the lawns were getting onto the brick, and we want to avoid having any of the bricks become discolored, so he was going to adjust them or make smaller sweeps. But again, he said not to talk out of school, and everyone's hearing this while I'm saying this publicly, but Paul has agreed to stay on for 2 to 3 years after the park is cleaned, is done, to continue with modifications and changes and everything to the park, which is kind of nice.
That's really nice.
He knows
Yeah.
everything, so. Okay, back to the second item. We have a CPC, or we have applied for a CPC application. That will be part of the May town meeting. I'm not sure which article it is, but it will, the CPC application will be going before the May town meeting, will include, I believe it's a $120,000.
And just to let you know,
Yes.
that was placed and recommended by the select board.
Yeah.
And FinCom recommended it too. All the CPC articles, but that's inclusive.
So the plan is, the company out of Canton will be coming down. They will remove Albert from the stand. They'll transport him up to Canton. They'll start the reconstruction work, hopefully, knock on wood. It's not worse than, but they won't know until they start opening them up to find out what the structural supports are inside. But again, we'll cross that bridge when we get to it. Any questions about that? If anybody's got any open questions? Brian?
Yeah, I had minor punch list related, I'm sorry, we kind of skipped on there, but I wanted to just remind you, so what, on a punch, whatever plantings we weren't able to put in before Veterans Day, there's still an outstanding planting list or areas that didn't get planted, so we know that should happen, and then I was gonna, you mentioned the irrigation, so I don't know if it's limited by hours, but I know obviously since we're designated park, that, you have a whole park full of new plantings, so I don't know what the rules or the times are, but I just want to make sure that, certainly the park will have irrigation. But I did want to comment about the plants that were missing or on backorder.
Yeah, I know that center section between the two new memorials, which are on Academy Place side, or Academy Place, both of those, for lack of a better term, kidney bean areas require more plantings, and I think they just hadn't come in time by Veterans Day, and of course they couldn't plant anything over the winter, so I do believe that's upcoming, but I would have to double check. I've got a note here to double check with
The punch out.
Josh at Agway and Dave Hawk. Okay, so getting back to the agenda item, any other questions? Anybody have any questions about the Civil War soldier and timeline? I don't really have a timeline at this point. Sometime after the town meeting, we'll have to reach out to the company and advise them about the outcome of the meeting, and hopefully they'll give us a timeline as when they're going to start working. Yes, sir.
Is this reconstruction going back to the original with the bayonet?
Yes.
Hold it?
Yep, it's going to include a replacement for the bayonet, put him back in an upright position, probably going to have to redo the base that he stands on because that's actually starting to cave in. So there's a little ancillary work that has to go along with it, but they're going to include all that. So.
I mean, the pedestal is not structurally sound, is that?
Well, the granite is perfect.
Right,
The granite is good up to the top, but the very top of the granite, there's a small box, it's about 4 inches high, and I've got pictures here if anybody
That's all
wants to
right.
see it. That's actually started, that's cracked, and it's starting to fade in. So the company that came down and looked at it said they don't know exactly what they did underneath there. They don't know if it's down into an iron base. They don't know if they've got rods coming up out of the granite, but they'll find out as soon as they come down and start disassembling it. So it's been up there for 145 years now, so don't know what the constructions were like back in the day. So. Okay, the next item on the agenda is to discuss the proposal for the questionnaire that Andrew Delores brought forward. This will be in regards to the Vietnam Veterans Memorial proposals that are on the horizon. We have 2 companies out there, Site One and Crosby, that are in the wings, so to speak. Andrew has requested that we have this questionnaire go forward, but before we do, we should have a discussion to make sure everything is appropriate. Now, you've got an additional...
I've got a revision
modified-
which adds Brian Sosner's suggestion of an email on February 16th that we also, that vendors should provide proof of current liability and workman's comp satisfactory to the town. So I've added that to the to the, this is just a draft for discussion. That's,
Pretty sure they have to anyway, but
Well-
I'm not sure, Michael.
I think, you know, it's kind of a unique situation. We have normally, as you know, potential contractors will bid.
Procurement, yeah.
Yeah, with the participation of the 501c, I've rather belatedly come to understand that that's not how it works. That it's basically a non-competitive, no bid sort of stage.
Okay.
Is that, am I?
I don't know, I'm
Oh.
not, don't take my legal advice with 501c3s versus to the town, I can't give any.
Oh, okay. I'm just kind of throwing the question out to the room.
I don't know, yeah, I'd hate to
Yeah.
give.
Well, I'm just observing that it's not the normal procedure that we're, you know,
It's
we're.
not gonna be a town
Right.
bidding process.
Right.
Bidding process is gonna go through us, I take it, right? Because we're the one paying for the,
I think
Well,
if
so far, we have not had any competitive bids, and that may be fine. But I just want to understand what the proper procedure is.
I think you do want to ask the town manager's office, because it is town land you're putting this on, so I don't know if town land requires a procurement regulations or not, whether whoever was paying for it, so make sure you please just run this by.
As, you know, and I don't mean to, I was kind of in the middle of handing everything out, I didn't catch everything, but as my understanding is if the money to pay for the memorials is not coming from the town itself, then the procurement laws aren't in play. We have the 501c3 that's accepted money for the purpose of purchasing the memorials, as I understood it. Now, I can double
When
check.
you said you understood it, was it the town that told you that?
Well, when I asked Kim Newman about it, she said that the procurement didn't apply.
But then
Um,
she would know, she's our chief procurement officer as the town manager.
We
But
should
again,
follow up on that.
I would get it in writing so that there's no confusion
Yep.
later on. And I'm sure
It
she-
won't matter which group does it, you'll have that workman's, you know, the.
Yeah, I think if
the
they're-
Insurance thing.
As you said before, if they're working on town property, the town's gonna wanna make sure that they're covered for.
Yeah, we don't want them dropping a monument
No.
and having somebody.
there is a procurement person, right, in town hall here that we could talk to that should understand. I think that's a good point. Since it's going on town land, is that, you know, not like it's going on in our backyard, so it would be good to talk to him and make sure.
Her, it's our town manager. She's in,
Oh, so Kim would be?
Kim is
Oh,
the
okay,
chief
'cause I know
procurement
bef-
officer. I know
Okay.
there's other people who've been
Oh, but
in
she's
the
one.
town in
Okay.
the past, but right now it would be her or her designee.
Okay.
So just to make sure, they're very good in the town manager's office. They can,
Yeah,
she'll delegate it to who she needs.
I'll reach out to Molly and see if I can have them meet with her and just kind of run this stuff by.
Thank you.
All right, so getting back to the actual questionnaire, Andrews, we have pricing, estimate, quote, bid, fabrication. I mean, I'll just read through it if anybody's got any.
Do you have an extra copy that I passed down to you? Does anybody have a second copy of my dated today? Thank you, Kevin. Sorry to interrupt.
Item 1 is pricing, estimate, quote, or bid for fabrication, engraving, and install. Source. I mean, I don't have any issues with any of these questions. Where fabricated, I don't know really if that's.
These questions came up in past meetings. I'm
Yeah,
kind
no,
of,
no, I get it.
You know, consolidating.
Where fabricated, I guess it's wherever whatever company is purchasing their granite. Well, we can ask, obviously. Engraving, it's fine. Delivery to site, that would be part of the whole plan. Installment, timeline. Warranty terms, that would be a good question. Keep that on there for that. Find out what they've got for any kind of warranty. Proof of liability, that goes back to the first under pricing. Years of experience, customer satisfaction, and require permanent attribution on site. I'm okay with all of that. I mean, does anybody have any changes or? I mean, I know a lot of this will make the decision as to where we'll go forward, but then it's gonna fall into the 501c3. So when it comes to pricing, I don't wanna sound callous about it or anything, but if our committee picks a look that we like and we are okay with it. I don't think pricing is really in our wheelhouse because it's not coming out of our pocket, it's coming out of the 501c3. So whether we want to include the 501c3 in regards to the questionnaire.
Well, yeah, I mean, again, under normal circumstances, it'd be nice to have an alternative sort of pricing if, given that there is a second vendor. And I've got an idea that maybe we should get back to Tom, and I propose that we meet with Tom to explore new possibilities for his participation, for his consideration.
For the Vietnam veterans?
Yeah, for the, I'm sorry, yeah, for, just kind of relates to this, for his consideration, to invite him. Russ, I got this idea from Russ Kleekamp. He suggested we get back to Tom and see what can be done, and maybe a compromise, we can find common ground on the design and the color and the type of granite. So I'd like to pop that in.
Yes.
And I have some photos to illustrate, that idea.
Yeah, well, no, it was my understanding that Tom was willing to work with us in regards to any
Right.
kind of look. That
Well,
we're
so far
looking
he's
for.
had exclusive access, and that, that's not necessarily an issue. However, my feeling, I joined the committee because I was motivated by improving the Vietnam/Korean wall, the chimney block wall. And so that's my mission, really, is to promote a more outstanding, stronger, and more memorable design for the Vietnam Memorial.
Yeah, I think this is a good one, and we would just give it to each of them. And when they, I don't necessarily want them to present it in public, because it's a quasi-bid thing.
Right. This is
so-
just for our information.
Right.
And I think some of this, Brian Sosner suggested different people at the committee and the 501c have suggested some of these items in the past, so I just thought I'd put them on one page.
Yeah, I think ultimately it'll come down to, I don't want to say a competition, but Site One will present something and Tom will present something and our committee will decide which one we like best.
Well, and again, going back to, I had a sort of, Russ has been a good, he came up with an idea to improve the structure of my design. And he said, why don't you just, get back to Tom, and maybe we don't have to find an alternative vendor. If Tom can, so far, and I can show you in a photo, our ideas, our concepts don't match. The color's different, the design is different, and maybe there's, again, I'm trying to be very open-minded and suggest there might be common ground, where Tom could come in first before Site One, and after we give him new information based on Russ's recommendation for structural integrity, etc.
Yeah.
Well, what's good about this, whenever each one of them comes in, if they have this, they have some guidelines
Right.
on what we're looking for.
Sure, and it's a checklist for us,
Yeah.
so we can compare
And
apples
for
with
them,
apples.
too.
Yeah, that was the idea, that we should be fair if there's another vendor coming to present.
Right, and if I would add anything to it, would be a 13 that would say, any ideas that you as a vendor think is necessary that we might be missing.
Yeah.
It's like an open thing.
Mhm.
That doesn't necessarily mean it has to be there, but I think that
No.
might be a good idea.
So this is for our own guidance, the committee's guidance.
Right.
We don't have to vote on this. Kevin, you agree?
Yeah,
All
I
right.
mean, I don't know, John, do you agree? Should we vote on this questionnaire, or is it just one of those, this is kind of
I
a,
think it's okay not to, but if we vote on it, then we can't go wrong.
we call it a living document anyway, and use it work going forward.
Mhm.
Okay. All right. I'm sorry.
So you're the Veterans Committee will send out kind of this quasi RFP to one site and to Tom?
Yeah.
Okay, good.
Yeah, for their, so be prepared when they come to make a presentation. And again, I'm open, for my part, that Tom can come in first, and after we give him more updated information, give him a fresh start to see if we can come together.
Well, I think we need to understand too, as the committee, that if we have Site One coming forward and making a presentation, we may ask for the committee to ask them to make some modifications, in which case they'll
Yes.
probably have to come back.
Yes.
And the same with Tom. So we may have a situation where we're going back and forth a little bit until we get to a final design that we vote on as a committee. And I think taking into consideration, one of the items on here is longevity. Do you have longevity on here?
Perhaps I didn't. But that is another.
We
that's
might
another
want to,
issue,
well,
yeah.
we could, customer
Permanence
satisfaction.
of, engraving, et cetera.
Something that's gonna, can you show us long-term? Have you, something along the lines of, show us a monument, or can, just tell us of a monument
So
that you've.
longevity of material and
Well, you
engraving.
could add it to number 8, warranty terms.
Yeah.
How long will it last,
Okay.
make some suggestions. How long would it last,
Well, yeah.
that type of thing.
Well, let me just interject that I'm seeing a possible shortcut here. And I know that, we're speaking, for myself, we'd like to move on and wrap this up, before we go underground ourselves.
Well,
I want to be above ground to see this.
Well, I certainly, I'm torn. Part of me wants to take the time to make sure that we have something that's, but I also realize we're losing veterans daily. And it, quite frankly, and I've said this to everybody in the committee, we may be sitting here and there could be some Vietnam veterans that are watching this discussion right now that will not be alive when the actual Vietnam Veterans Memorial goes in. So I don't want to spend 5 years trying to come up with a design. We've got this beautiful park.
That's it.
The
It's a
town
great
is now
showcase.
expecting something to go into the park, so let's not beleaguer
Right.
the,
But in all fairness to the 501c3, we need to pick a design as quickly as possible, so
Absolutely.
they know how much they have to
Well, that-
try to raise.
Well, that's part of my motivation.
Right.
And I should add, for full disclosure, that the Site One Cape Stone people, it would require, actually, they would subcontract the installation to Cornerstone Cape Cod, which I've been in touch with. And they have over 37 years of experience, and they've worked, renovated and replaced stone at Newport Mansions, et cetera. You can go to their website, they're called Cornerstone. So the owner, we had a meeting, and he made some really good suggestions, technical suggestions, which I'll go into, sometime later. But the issue with going with another, so far, to date, is it will require a second vendor to install, and then a third vendor for the engraving. And I discovered that the engraver that Tom uses was highly recommended by the Cornerstone people. And I spoke with him, we emailed, and he said that while he's an independent contractor, he works exclusively with Tom Crosby and Sons on larger monuments. So I don't, I have no experience being a project manager, but this is what it would require, to get
So-
3 different parties on the same page to get a grand total.
so let me just ask this. If we contract with Site One, they don't consider themselves the general contractor, and then they hire the subs?
That's yes.
Or we would have to hire the subs?
Yeah, that's my understanding. They would not be the general contractor. They would fabricate in Orleans.
So now you're gonna have 3 bills coming through?
That
Well-
would be a downside to that,
I
in
know,
my
I know.
opinion.
I
They
appreciate.
need to be the general contractor,
Right.
because that's not.
I will double check on
Thing.
that. Yeah, I agree. It's a real obstacle at this point. And that's what motivated me to think, and having a chat with Russ Kleekamp at the end of last year in Hyannis, he said, well, why don't you, have Tom come back and see if you can, get together on an acceptable design type of granite.
Because I look at Crosby as somebody who would be the general contractor also. He seems to operate that
Right.
way.
Well, he's got the engraver.
That's right, and he installed, he did
And
the
he- and he
World War One,
installed,
right?
so-
I think he's a soup to nuts kind of
Yeah,
guy.
no, obviously, he's proven that. He's done a great job.
I think the price that they come up with, it has to be one price and they take everything from soup to nuts, and that's the price we get.
Right.
We can't be worried who the
Yeah.
subcontractor.
Yeah, we don't want to be putting 3 bids out for each
Yeah,
part of
that
this.
doesn't, that won't work.
You know, and
It's
then
no
the thing
bid.
the thing that bothers me about it, and I don't want to beleaguer it too much,
Sure, I
because we
thought
might
I-
certainly talk about it, but if you have Site 1 coming in with a stone and putting it in, and then you hire an engraver to come in and he chips the stone and breaks it,
Well, if Site 1, they would have an engraver go to their site, and it would be engraved before it left the
In
site.
factory.
So, but it's more of a financial question, because you would unless I can, if they're not a general contractor at Site 1, then we have 3 different parties that we're paying.
well, I think that would come back to the warranty issue. I
Yeah.
mean, if you've got 3, if Site 1 is got to hire, or not hire, if Site 1 is going to require the 501c3 or our committee to hire an engraver, are they going to cover, or the installer, if the installer drops it on the edge of Academy Place and cracks it in half, who's holding the bag on that?
Yeah, it's gotta be a GC.
I mean, that's, we
What's
don't,
that, John?
General
It's gotta be a
contractor.
general
general contractor, and they're
Yeah.
responsible
Okay, well, I
for,
will check
I
that
would
out.
double check that.
Double, and then get back.
I would hate to have Site 1 come in here and give us a beautiful presentation and then turn around and say,
Yeah.
okay, now you guys hire the engraver and you guys hire the installer.
That would be, they would,
That wouldn't be
my,
good.
my role would be to bring them together all at the same time for one presentation.
And they all have to play well in the sandbox too.
Yeah.
I mean,
Well,
we
they
don't
have
want-
worked-
We don't want,
Yeah, it's the engraver, I've tried, there's another local engraver who's not returned my phone calls or email or anything. So that's real, so therefore, in fairness to Tom, he's done a great job with the benches and among other things. I was impressed by his crew and, they came in and did an installation, very smooth. However, I think we could frankly do better on the design and decide what granite is acceptable.
well, by all means, if we let Tom know that we need to have some more examples and to work with the committee a little bit more, I'm sure he'd be more than willing to go along with it.
Well, I'm happy
I
to
think we
share
have to
with
give
them.
him the opportunity.
Yeah. Russ, going back to Russ again, he did suggest that we get back to Tom and see if we could get it all under one roof. And, I'm not, I'm trying to be fair and open to, the possibility that Tom could handle, as before, could handle the whole project.
Okay.
And I just want one, I did a straw poll, and to save time, I have photographs of Tom's last image, and can I just pop that up for 1 minute while we're on? I know it's gonna be, we thought it might be a long meeting.
I think Brian, sorry Kevin, I think Brian has his hand up.
I'm sorry, Brian, do you have a question?
I got some comments if you want to hear them.
Sure.
Okay, well, first of all, I think this, all I'm hearing is let's go back to Tom, that's great, but I think I'm listening to that description, and there's a couple things here that I have, not personally, but as a board, I have some real problems with. If Site 1, well, first of all, Site 1 obviously has been invited to this board 3-4 times and has failed to show up. So going back to Tom to see what he can do, to me, that's almost insulting relative to saying, well, what does this other vendor have? And so far, they don't have anything. And the other point I wanted to make here is, the questionnaire that you have is fine. However, if you're bringing someone in who's really, I don't know if they can just, if they've got a design that looks good, I'd say have at it and bring them in, and let's get it over with already to see what they can do. But the notion of hiring 3 different contractors, I'm not sure I would commit to our board to do that. If somebody can't act as a GC, but I will say this, if there's a subcontractor for install and a subcontractor for engraving, I'll, you know, I would need to vet each one individually, almost off that same questionnaire. You're presenting a very complex situation. This is, first of all, this is complex, highly specialized work. And, you know, obviously, we're gonna get into the names in a second, but someone who wants to design something, that's one thing. If they're saying, hey, we don't install, or we don't engrave, that's a problem. And that needs to be really buttoned up, because you've got multiple vendors. Yes, there's crossover there, liability issues, so somebody needs to act as a GC here. I mean, I think Tom's kind of proven, you know, designs can be, you know, he can go over designs and hash them out, but at the end of the day, you know, we've got now, what, 140 names to engrave?
141.
And the liability issues matter, the installation matters. Obviously, we don't want to bring anybody into the park as a 501 who doesn't have proper insurance, liability,
we
and
got
has a
that.
track record. That we can stand up and say to not just our veterans, but donors and to the town of Orleans, that, you know, we're only bringing in top-notch stuff with people that have proven ability. So we need to see that. I don't think it's, hey, let's go back to Tom. I think it's, who are these people and can they really do this? And is this somebody that, as a town, we can really vet? That's a lot of different skills that somebody has or doesn't have.
Well, Brian, with respect, I was looking for, again, to expedite the whole process and not, you know, I'm not doing this for glory or for treasure. This is, you know, I'm not a trained project manager. I don't prefer to play that role. But again, I did a straw poll of veterans, local veterans, Vietnam veterans, and the vote was unanimous. I showed them Tom's concept, and I showed them, the Joy concept, which I've been proposing for some time. So, where was I? I don't know where to begin. By the way, Site One did not show up for one meeting, and they did phone in. You were not accurate by suggesting they didn't show up 3 or 4 times. All right? Just for the record.
That's not what I was talking about. You're introducing
No.
multiple trades that need to be vetted, and, you
Yeah,
know,
I know, I agree, that's the problem, that's a challenge. And I'd like to avoid, you know, the complication. And that's why I'm suggesting that we get back with Tom, give him some fresh ideas that our engineer Russ has given, as well as Cornerstone has made suggestions for structural integrity and how to make it, you know, permanent.
Well,
okay, that's fine.
I'm just gonna speak out of school because Tom's not here, but I do remember the conversation well. Tom saw this drawing, go back to yours. Tom saw your drawing and he said, that looks beautiful. However,
Yeah.
the
Right.
angles
Yeah, they're
all
called-
become complex because the stone is purchased overseas. So you send those dimensions overseas and they cut it. Then they send it all the way across the Atlantic or the Pacific Ocean and it gets here. And if things don't quite line up correctly,
Yeah,
that's on Tom, not on the company that cut it
Right.
over in Taiwan.
right. It's
So-
called complex and
So
compound
now,
angles.
go to Tom's picture. Pull up Tom's picture. Tom suggested making the angles a little bit more even. In the center section, you'd have the 2 wings butting up on the center. And it makes less angles to make everything come together. Now, under fairness, I know you're thinking I'm leaning towards Tom and
Well,
trying to.
I'm not against Tom.
No, I know, but I'm just trying to say, this was Tom's only proposal to us at this point.
That's
He was
correct.
never
That was-
given an opportunity to come back
Right,
with
well,
another
we should
idea.
get- yeah.
Right, so I know you've got your idea, and then there's this idea that he's given. We've never given him an opportunity to come back and say, okay, given Andrew's drawing, can we somehow make it so this works on the footprint that we're allowed? And his
Right.
concern is longevity.
Yeah,
He
right,
wants to
and
make sure that-
structural integrity.
Correct.
And so
Right.
let me show you Russ's idea.
Yeah, you've got what, 8 feet to work with?
It's
Um,
8,
We had the
but
foundation.
is 10 wide.
We had the foundation lengthened a bit to accommodate the proposed.
Here's the showing, I wanted you to see the shrubs that will grow in the rear. Give me a moment here to find, we could have a slideshow. This is, the indigenous marker, which is,
Yeah, actually, that's coming up
Yeah,
next,
I know.
Dale, so I know
Okay.
you're sitting patiently waiting.
yeah, I know. I'm trying to find, excuse me. It's, maybe this can wait until, anyway, Russ had this great idea of buttressing from the rear to solve the problem. So you don't have this, you're not reading Vietnam from top to bottom, it would be
Okay.
horizontal again. Let's see, I'm sorry. I don't have this. I thought I captured Russ's sketch. Anyway, to save time, we can come back to that. But I'd like to share Russ's recommendations with Tom and also discuss I thought the bench were really done really well. The color, the quality of the granite and the engraving, and I think that would be, we could consider that as a granite color for the Vietnam Memorial.
That bar granite's a little bit darker.
Yeah, this
And if
is,
it's polished, he's already said that if you try to engrave unfinished granite,
Yeah.
it has, well, you look at the World War II monument. If it gets all wet, it's hard to read
That's
the
right,
letters.
yeah, yeah.
However, if it's polished and they engrave it, it tends to take the hue similar to the
right.
red, what do they call it? The stone
Rose?
color?
Red India.
Red India.
Right
If it's
here.
engraved, it takes a lighter tone to it, so it's a little bit, oh, there you
So-
go.
Yeah, so here's, you can see in the center, Russ's, this is his sketch. I added to it, suggesting buttresses at the rear, and this is an overview. It shows you, and this, again, this was based on a 4-inch width of, the benches are 6, which so far, everyone has, site 1 is, and the installer recommended 6 inches, the same width or height as the bench top. So you've got the shrub in the background, so that only the face would need to be polished for the engraving, and you wouldn't see the rear, you know. So this is something I'd like to share with Tom.
Absolutely,
Yeah,
100%.
Yeah, and then there's also the suggestion, when the two wings join, that you have what's called an eased edge, which, versus a tight seam. Tight seam, yeah. Again, your point is well taken, that granite edges can chip really easily. So just to give you a kind of snapshot, I thought the polished top is just beautiful. And that, you know, if that's, to me, is an option for the Vietnam Memorial. This granite, which Tom could easily acquire.
The bar, well, the supplier that he gets from Vermont, which is where those came from, they all
Right.
use the bar granite, which is the
Right.
darker shade.
And-
Similar, this is a good example. Actually, I'm glad you put this up.
Yeah,
there.
this is
This is a
civil-
polished.
Right.
That's polished and that's etched.
Uh-huh.
So that etching, that match, obviously you can see it matches.
Right.
And that's how the etching will look on a polished piece,
Right.
similar to that polished piece when they etch into
Right.
that.
Well, that's a
It
gray,
gives it gives it some dimension.
right, exactly. That's the gray that I was I first suggested we use for the Vietnam Memorial, that it's called blue mist. And this is an example. This is what blue mist looks like.
Blue mist.
It's called blue mist granite. But Tom's engraver, who I spoke with, he didn't think that was monument grade. So we need to, I think there's a lot of technical things we need to go over, review with Tom. All right?
Absolutely, 100%.
And here's, this is a scale, my friend Dan Joy took it upon himself to build a scale model with Go Board. It was a birthday present. So we popped it in there, and I took this photograph to give you a kind of a preview
Oh.
of how it would look.
Sure.
Yeah. So, and I think maybe Kevin, you and I and Tom should get together and explore the possibilities.
Well, I think our committee should all
Oh,
sit down.
oh.
I mean,
Oh, fine.
I mean, I don't want to kick this can down the road anymore. Costs have already increased 25% since we started this project.
Well, that's another good point, yeah. Yeah. Okay, so I'll let you get on with the meeting then.
I'm sorry,
Just
Cecil.
curious, are you gonna be able to get 141 names on that?
Well, that's a very good question. Tom has indicated that the engraver, they base the size of the names based on how much real estate they've got to work with. They get more names on it if you lower the font, but the problem is it disappears if the font is too small.
It's probably
So-
harder to do.
What's that?
It's probably harder to do.
Yeah, well, I think they can go down to 3/4 of an inch. I think it's the size of the engraving that is minimum to make it so it's at least legible. But again, that's a question for the engraver or the guys that are doing this work, because if we do have more names than we originally thought, we're gonna have to find a spot for them. And we always have to keep in mind that there could be a name, although having the 501c3 vet out all the names that were on the DD 214s, I don't anticipate any names coming up down the road that have been omitted in the past, which has come up. But we want to make sure that there is some room for any additional names, should something, we do find a flaw in our research, so to speak. Although I would say that the research the 501c3's done with the historian really has kind of nailed things down.
The only thing I would say, I support most of the discussion here, but I think it's imperative that anybody that's going to do this, they are the general contractor and they're responsible for anybody else that they don't do. If they don't engrave, they're responsible for the engraver and the warranty of the engraver, not us.
Again, I don't do this kind of work, but if
Yeah.
I was a company that was selling something to the Memorial Day Committee and then saying, okay, here you go, have somebody engrave it, and then have somebody come back and say, we screwed up. That's not on me.
Right.
That's gonna be,
That's why
so I think you're right.
I agree with him that we need a general, they have to be the general
That's gonna
contractor.
oversee the entire project. I mean,
I'll confirm if that's possible.
Yeah, I would just double check with Site One to make sure that they're even,
As far as I know,
hopefully they, can come up with some, at the very least, maybe Site One can give some good design ideas that Tom could use. I mean,
well,
down the road.
Russ has done that with his buttress idea.
Right,
I mean, and the cornerstone with their eased edge
right,
in the
right.
center. But I'll continue to look for good ideas
But
Okay.
to share.
whoever we talk to, even if there becomes a third party that wants to take on the project, they have to do the whole project.
Yeah, okay. Should we vote on that? The general contractor is required or not?
So moved.
I'll
Okay.
second it.
All right.
I mean, that's fine.
All right, all those in favor signify by saying aye by roll call. Andrew Delory,
Aye.
John Fuller,
Hi, John Fuller.
aye, Kevin Higgins.
Okay, so that's agreed. We have a general contractor to handle it. We're making progress.
Yes. Okay, next item on the agenda is the Indigenous Memorial. We have Gail with us in the audience. Gail has asked us, I should give an update real quick. The Indigenous marker is in. Tom has it. It's in a crate. He was gonna try to open it up today and take a picture and send it to me, but he didn't have time. So it is at his shop and it is ready to go. What was I gonna say next? So it's ready, he's spoken to you as well, right?
Not in weeks, but I mean, I knew it was
So it's
almost there.
4 feet, it's 4 feet in
Yeah.
diameter, I don't know if I'm gonna be able to pull that up. It's 4 feet in diameter, it's ready to go. He has asked us, the committee, to make sure that where we have that temporary marker is where we want that Indigenous marker to go. Because he's gonna install it next week, I believe.
The temporary signage, you mean?
The temporary sign that's up there now,
Which is on the southeast corner?
it's the
it's,
picture that you have.
Yeah, but that's on the wrong corner.
No, we
Oh.
wanted it on the inside because there wasn't enough room on the outside edge.
Okay, so it won't be at the entrance, it'll be
No.
in the opposite corner.
Well, it'll be the entrance off of Academy
Oh,
Place.
fine.
Yeah.
Which is actually more of a main entrance.
Yeah.
The other entrance is kind of a symbolic entrance off of
Right.
Main Street.
Because they park in there, so that's why
Right,
that's a better.
good point.
option.
Yeah, I was wondering about, that's another.
So
topic.
Tom just wants to make sure that our committee is all set with that location. And as such, he will come in next week and he will make the foundation ready for it, which is, I think, a granite crushed stone base. The memorial itself weighs 200 to 300 pounds, so it's not like it's gonna blow over. What they had, well, so this is the corner right here. That's where the indigenous marker is, the temporary.
Main Street's out.
Yeah,
Right,
it's
I got
Main
that,
Street,
yeah.
Academy Place.
Right.
So he just wanted to double check, make sure that we are okay with that location. And that's where he will start the excavation. He's gonna check with EDR to make sure that there isn't anything underground that's gonna.
So it won't be a concrete foundation, it will be.
No,
crushed.
it's gonna be a crushed stone, and he's, just so everybody knows, it's gonna be angled. So when you walk in, the memorial, which is 4 feet in diameter, is up and facing the reader. So when you walk into the park, you can see the circle, the wording all the way around.
Well, it'll certainly have some kind of anchor in it.
Well-
Crushed stone.
Yeah, this is,
Yeah, it's,
Excuse me.
it's basically, yes, Gail?
What Tom explained to Bethany and me was that it didn't need a foundation. Now, I'm repeating something, and I could be very wrong, but he suggested the crushed stone because something of that weight will not move. And so that was
it's a
why
good
he
thing we
was
don't have earthquakes here.
planning to do that, right?
Or bad
Right.
drivers.
That's all I know, but that's what he said.
Yeah, and that's pretty much what he told me as well.
So
And-
this, structurally, it makes sense.
Yeah, and he said also the added benefit by having it angled up and facing the viewer as they're walking into the park. Ricard Electric can put a light at the bottom, so it'll reflect up, and as the angle, the light will shine on the entire monument as opposed to being direct, like a spotlight. It'll be a floodlight on the actual round monument, so. I told Tom I would give him a call and tell him that we are okay. Should we have a vote for that?
Yeah.
I mean, we've already decided that's the
Yeah.
location. Michael, did you have anything you wanted to add to that? Because
No,
I know
I-
you were instrumental in this whole thing from the get-go.
No, I didn't, I forgot you guys had moved the location, but if that's your decision, then. But yeah,
Oh.
you should vote it, just so that you have it.
All right, I'll make the motion that we adopt and we, did you have a question, Marty?
No, he
Sorry.
has to leave,
Oh,
so.
okay.
Thanks, Marty.
Is this already
Have a
engraved?
good vacation.
Yes, yep.
It's, yeah,
Here, I've got the card drawing.
I'll send it to you when I get home.
I got it right here.
it looks,
Something like that.
looks like this, right? Is that the same?
That's
Yeah.
it.
We'll call it the same.
Yeah, that's it.
And also- Are we leaving out, not to slow us down or screw the meeting up, but are we leaving the Nauset's out of any recognition in the park? Because I think, we recall that we discussed the possibility last year.
The wording's been finalized.
Yeah, the wording's been fine.
Oh, I know that, we had that debate, but I'm in addition to this
But I think
Wapanoa.
you wanna stick to what you're talking about right now, and, because it's already produced. This is
Yeah, I
not-
got that, I'm not trying to reverse anything, Michael, I'm just
I'm
saying,
not saying you are.
going forward. I'm not talking
It
about.
would be, I think
In
personally,
addition.
just as an open discussion, I think it
But
would be a
finish-
good thing to
you
bring
should
up.
Finish what you're
Yeah,
discussing.
I think it's a good thing,
first.
maybe we
I'm
bring
sorry.
up,
Yes.
maybe we bring that up, after we get this installed and we
Pardon
do the
me.
presentation and everything. Yeah, we've got plenty of park in there, if we want to put another marker in there to identify the Nauset indigenous people, we can have, that's a discussion we can have down the road, but let's stay focused with, obviously, what's on the agenda and what we're dealing with.
Sorry to interrupt, you want to take a vote?
No, that's okay. Yeah, take a vote for having Tom install the indigenous marker on the southeast corner of Veterans Memorial Park in the spot where the indigenous marker, the temporary marker is now, 4-foot granite on whatever base he feels deems necessary and angled up.
So moved.
So moved, seconded. John Fuller, hold on. So by roll call vote, all those in favor of the marker as brought forward in the motion for the location indicate by saying aye. By roll call, John Fuller.
Hi, John Fuller.
I, Andrew Delory.
Aye, Kevin Higgins. Okay. Now, so as we move on, let's continue to talk about the indigenous marker. Gail has asked to include the presentation for the indigenous marker, the grand unveiling on Memorial Day. So I gave your email to my committee members to kind of put it in there to have a discussion. Now, I'm going to speak out of turn first. I'll speak first.
Okay, Chair.
My original plan, or not original, my feeling is Memorial Day itself is a very sacred event. It's meant for the veterans that are no longer with us. I'm thinking that if we add the indigenous marker and the presentation, it does two things. One, it takes away from the Memorial Day, which is what that holiday is for, to honor our veterans, but also it's being disingenuous to the indigenous people because we're not giving them their specific date. It would kind of dilute the presentation. That's my feeling anyway. It would dilute the Memorial Day event, it would dilute the indigenous peoples, and I'm thinking, can we find a date that may be something that is indigenous peoples? It seems the marker's going in next week. We can do anything from the second week of April till the end of May. We can do it well before Memorial Day, depending on whether or not the Wampanoag tribal members want to be present, or whether they had the opportunity. I know Mr. Peters said he would be thrilled. He told me he was thrilled when we showed him the temporary marker that was out there, and he just said, just let me know whatever date you pick. So.
Well, one thing to throw into the mix, except it's a while from now, is Indigenous Peoples' Day, which I think a lot of local people are interested in kind of pursuing.
Yeah.
I think it's October.
It's, replaces Columbus
Columbus
Day,
Day.
in effect.
It's a long time away, but it would be much more meaningful, I think, to more people. I think the problem that, and Michael, you said this too, I think, there would be a lot more people at Memorial Day. That was kind of why, and the band is playing, the kids from Nauset who have done all that work on the indigenous people and the We2 up at the middle school. So, and also because, the ceremony would kind of begin with our pledge, that's in our charter, plus the fact that a lot of Robert's relatives turned out to be, his uncle died during the Normandy invasion. Of course, he's not from Orleans, but,
He was a veteran?
Yes,
Oh,
not
right.
Robert isn't himself, but 3 of his aunts married people who served. Uncle Dewey was a colonel, and then, of course, the Mashpee chief of police, and so on and so forth. His Uncle Pat was chief of police at Otis Air Force Base. And this is interesting, nothing to do with the event, but his Aunt Clara was in Jet magazine as the first black woman chief of police in America, which is kind of impressive, but has nothing to do with what we're saying. And so I think, what I did was draft some wording that I got from the Wampanoag website, which I think you all have, right?
Was that
Yes.
part of
Did you only get the email?
I think I only saw the email.
It had an
I saw,
attachment.
I saw the wording for the, is that what you're referring to?
The one that said Town of Orleans introduction.
Is the preamble to the warranty, is that what you're referring to?
Am I what?
The preamble to the warranty?
Well, it's the second
In-
paragraph.
In the warranty, I see.
Um,
Yeah,
You know, it took, and this is totally a draft.
it looks like it, yeah.
Oh, yeah, this, yeah, this.
You did see it,
We
okay.
did see this.
Right, and
This
that's
was
what's going to be engraved on the,
The second paragraph.
right, thank you.
Yeah, no, we did see
Thank
this.
you.
So, any discussion? I mean, as I explained, I stated my thought process as the chairman of the board, but members, please weigh in.
Well, I'm gonna echo what you said, that Memorial Day is recognition of those veterans we have lost during wartime or are still missing in action. And I think that's what Memorial Day is about. I think the dedication of the Indigenous marker should be its own event. And if we publicize it correctly, I think there'll be plenty of people.
Absolutely.
It's actually October 12th,
Yeah.
Monday.
Well, if we decide to postpone it to then,
October, what, 12th?
12th.
Yeah.
I think that would be wonderful.
it just seems funny to me, we're gonna put the marker in and then we're not gonna dedicate it for 6 months.
Well, I agree with you, except that, you know, this has been a moving target with the weather and everything else.
Well, we certainly can do an acknowledgement of the marker
Well,
itself.
let me put it to you this way, we could have a dedication now, let's say arbitrarily April 15th, but then rededicate it on Indigenous Peoples' Day.
We've had a lot of difficulty. We were aiming for Arts Week, which the cultural, whatever it is, district had asked if we could fit it into Arts Week. Unfortunately, we couldn't. We were waiting to hear from people in the tribe, and we couldn't get it fast enough. Robert was ready to do it, and then I turned out to have to go to a funeral off Cape. But anyway, so we lost that period of time, plus Tom wasn't sure he could get it in by then because of the weather. So, you know, that was what seemed logical because of the town meeting vote and the fact that it was intended to be one of the first things to go in. And, you know, it was voted down, the money was voted down until there was an amendment made, which then passed pretty fundamentally. So those are my reasons for thinking that you know, the town has said that it should be in the park and so on and so forth. But you're the committee, so I'm not.
Michael?
I think, I'll go after you guys. I don't know if Andrew has something he wants to add.
No, I interrupted once.
No.
No, discussion about the.
I thank you, Michael. I concur with John, you know, as a survivor of the Vietnam War, along with Cecil. I have great reverence for those who, first of all, sacrificed, you know, their time and away from their families, and who died for that, you know, we could continue to be a free nation. So I'm emotionally very much attached to the reverence that should be displayed at Memorial Day.
I think Brian has got his hand up.
Actually, Michael, you were.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah, I think that's fine, that if that's what you guys think. I think you could mention it, that it has been installed.
Right.
I do think we should include the land acknowledgement in somewhere in this, and if you have somebody who's a town official that's speaking, maybe they could mention at the beginning of the meeting.
Mhm.
And just mention that the marker's been installed and that at a later date, there will be a dedication or to something small like that, and then go on, because I.
And it could be pressed too, near the time.
Yeah, and people are gonna wanna walk over after the event and during the event, and we just have them, you know, casually walk over and look and say that there will be a formal dedication, or however Gail's language comes out at a later date, maybe on Indigenous, if that's the decision you guys make before Memorial Day comes about. But I agree with the reverence, and none of this was to take anything away
Yeah.
from, of course, the reverence of this day
Well,
and our.
Yeah, and the thing is that I didn't want to downplay it or anything, but I don't, like I said, I don't want to water down the Indigenous marker by including it
No, I
into
hear
this
you.
one.
Yeah.
And, because it would just, to me, it would feel like it's crammed in there, and we're trying to do too much in a one-day event, whereas
Well, I would
we could have.
agree, as long as, not as long as anything, it's your decision. But if you did consider that you could support having it on Indigenous Peoples'
Yeah.
Day and support it through the committee,
Mhm.
Makes sense.
we'll do all the publicity and stuff,
Yeah, I'm sure the town will
and the town, of
put
course.
all the information out there as well, and Chamber of Commerce,
Yeah.
I'm sure that they will, I'll speak with Judy, and we'll make it an event, and a standalone event, which will give it its due process.
I think that's great, totally understandable.
Brian, did you have something?
Well, it sounds like you've already kind of said it. I was simply going to echo all your comments, particularly Andrew's, John's, that I think Memorial Day should be standalone for the day that it is. Particularly particularly in a year, you know, we are in conflict, there's obviously casualties. I think the day should just stand on the solemnity of itself. I think, you know, as the park goes, I mean, we obviously are looking to do more programming in the park, so having a separate event for that or a reveal, I think is a better idea, to, you know, find such a date. You know, obviously, we're gonna talk about June 6th, and we've talked about when the Korean Memorial goes in to do something, or hopefully Vietnam before Veterans Day, so all these events are great events. I think it's great to, you know, not just spread them out, but find the appropriate time to do them.
Yeah. Okay. Any other discussion on the Indigenous? Like I said, it's done, it's at the shop, and it sounded to me like he's putting it in next week, so if I get a date that he's gonna be there and install it, I'll let everybody know, so if anybody wants to be there from our committees.
Well, I would make a motion that we separate the dedication of the Indigenous Peoples Monument from Memorial Day, and you know, we don't really celebrate Memorial Day, but observe Memorial Day as Memorial Day.
So moved.
You might want to add that
Oh.
you follow up on doing it on Indigenous Peoples' Day on the 12th.
Well, we'd make that a separate vote.
You could make it or the same. Either way, just like you have it done, you know what I mean? And then we can get everybody focused on that one date instead of you guys having to discuss this over several more meetings, would be my
Okay.
suggestion.
We'll include that Indigenous Peoples' Day 2026 will be the date of the
Dedication.
dedication of the Indigenous Peoples Monument.
Okay, so moved. All those in favor signify by saying aye by roll call. Andrew Delory,
I, Andrew Delore.
John Fuller.
John Fuller?
Aye, Kevin Higgins. Okay. Next item on the agenda, discussion for the design for the Korean War image bronze plate updates. Tom sent me this along. The block has been ordered. It should be, did he give you a date Brian, as to when that India red block is coming in?
It should be in this month.
Okay.
As I understand it. Since we were kind of working backwards, you know, on the assumption that, you know, there'd be time to install it in June. So I think it's pretty soon. So it should, you know, it should be this month.
Okay. And I know that, John, you've mentioned at the beginning that you were opposed to the bronze, but I went back in the notes and we did have a discussion about a separate engraved, like black granite to be on top of the India red. but the cost, I think, was prohibitive, if I remember correctly. It was considerably, I don't want to say cheaper, it was easier to produce if we did it on the bronze. And Tom alleviated some of the concern that the bronze now is a lot different than the bronze back then. So I think our committee, if I'm not mistaken, Andrew, didn't we more or less decide, and I don't know if John was at that meeting or not, I think we decided that the bronze plate was the way to go, because it would kind of tie in the other memorial that we have in there, the Civil War, and also the soldier at the end of Monument Road.
I'd have to check my notes, but you just triggered an idea that I know. Part of Tom's service is to clean gravestones. I mean, we could have some kind of arrangement where he would, every 5 or 10 years, come in and buff up the bronze.
I think he said something about they now coat the bronze with a clear, which prevents it from oxidizing, which is what the problem had been in the past, but.
Excuse me, I have in my notes from Tom that the bronze was long-lasting. So you're
Well-
right, that the newer version or whatever.
It's pretty open.
Yeah, I was gonna say. But can you still read it after?
Yeah, you can read it, I'll clean it.
I won't
Yeah,
object to the bronze, it's just that would be my preference.
Well, now I'm saying all that, I'm gonna try, although Peggy, I may need your help, I'm gonna try to get that image up. I don't know if John saw if you saw the bronze that came off of the picture that I had taken.
Oh, gosh.
Well, I do have something to say about the names.
Yeah, me too. I'm with you, John, on that one. Oh, gosh. So many moving parts. It's just incredible.
If this works, I'm gonna be amazed.
We'll clap, Kevin.
The folder with all the items you send should be right on the desktop as soon as you get in.
Yeah, that's the problem, getting in.
The password's written on the.
Yeah, I'm following it.
Just let me know if you need me.
You're on the start page, is that where you're supposed to be?
What's that?
Staff, sorry.
Yeah, it's staff. /staff. Orleans 23. Fingers crossed, no whammies, no whammies.
Sorry, the password just starts with Orleans. There's no staff in front of it.
Oh.
Yeah.
It's like listening to the Grand Wizard talking down.
You pay no attention to that man behind the curtain.
Exactly.
Thinking this thing.
Yeah, I'm not doing too good here, Peg. Let me try it again.
No worries, I can come down.
Do you want me to? I can come.
You know?
I think so.
I can't tell if it's on caps. It's not. It's not lighting up.
The admiral will be getting on his case about now.
I know what the problem is.
The admiral that did this in his kind of face.
Yeah.
Caps lock is on.
Oh, caps lock is on, there you go.
Oh, yeah. That would help. Thanks, Peggy. I forgot to inform.
No worries.
Great.
So there's all your stuff.
Perfect, thank you. So, I went to Crosby, and actually, let me just back up a little bit. This is the indigenous marker as Tom had it drawn up. Okay, so now, when I went down to talk to Tom about the bronze plates, he showed me a bronze plate in the pack. This is 25 years old. And it's bronze, it's cast, and the idea was This gentleman, obviously, he was in the military, he was tied in with trains, and they were able to take the images, they were pictures, and they were able to transfer it to a bronze plate that you see here. And the detail is incredible. It's raised, it's got texture to it, and the thought was that if we went with, and this was the little prototype that I had done up before, which is what these are on either side, but the angle of the front depends on the number of names. The more names, the more relaxed the angle is at the top. But the, oh, I'm sorry, I'm just going to back up again real quick. This is the corner that the indigenous marker is going to be at, right here.
Right.
So, just so everybody is aware of that. So this was the rough idea. If we had the Marines coming out of the Chosin Reservoir in the middle, we could have those images all the way around, which is similar to this design that I've done here, which has got the post office, which has got the Chosin Reservoir Marines coming out of the Chosin Reservoir. By the way, we had to apply to the post office and ask them for a release, so they will actually give us the template that will be used for the actual monument itself. And John, these are the pictures. I drew those pictures, but these were just kind of the pictures that I picked. Each one of these depicts a branch of service. You know, you've got the Army, of course the Army also use the helicopters for medevac, MASH, but you've got the Coast Guard, Air Force, and Navy. And if we can somehow have these blended together, I know it's very abstract, it's very stark as it is right there, but if we were to go back and if you can, in your mind's eye, have these type of, those images kind of surrounding the center section, which would be the Marines coming out of the Chosin Reservoir. And this poster board is the actual size of that bronze plaque. So it'll be good size, and it will be on the top of the India red block. Now we can, I'm not set, obviously I'm not set with what is, where everything is. We can move these around. So if you want the I was thinking the helicopter above them, and we could put the ships at the bottom, put the plane and the tank on the top. We could do anything. But if we give the images to Tom, he will do the template, and then he'll present to our committee the actual, what that
Yes,
bronze
I'm
will
in a
look like,
meeting.
just like that.
Okay.
And so we can decide at
Hello?
that point if we want to go forward. But again, it's not set in stone. I just did this to kind of move the construction phase along a little bit. The sooner we can get the bronze plate ordered, the quicker we can get the Korean War memorial in place. But I think it's pretty cool because the bronze itself, you can see it's got relief to it. It's almost got a three-dimensional 3D. And as Tom indicated, this bronze plaque is 25 years old.
Okay. You sold me.
That was easy.
Any questions? I mean, do we want to make a motion to accept the design the way that is and move it around?
A little bit more discussion on the plaques, the names themselves.
The names are coming up on the next item on the agenda.
Okay.
Kevin, can I just say one thing?
Absolutely.
I know this is not skill, but do you or does the committee imagine that the postal stamp is gonna be bigger? That'll be like the main focus. It's not gonna be the same size as all the different
No,
branches.
the Marines coming out are going to be the focal point.
Okay, so
They're going to be the
bigger
main things,
and
yes.
definitely grab your attention,
Yep.
okay.
And it's really gonna, it's almost gonna look, as Tom said it, explained it to me, he can blend it, so the Marines coming out, this helicopter will look like it's actually flying over them.
Okay, great.
So, and it'll be a relief. Again, we might wanna pick as a committee, put the ships at the bottom and the plane and the tank across the top. he can shrink this down a little bit, or we can come up with another image.
Yeah, my first impression is the tank is dominating here. that
Oh, yeah.
The
No,
scale has to
absolutely.
be adjusted.
Yeah,
You're looking at somebody that didn't do very good at crafts class. I did as best I could.
I'm sure you did well.
I think you did.
I probably ate a little too much paste, but,
I got C's and D's in math, so that's okay.
well, I went to Nauset, so I'm not very good at math either. But if this is the general, again, this is the size of the plate that's actually gonna be on top of the actual India red.
yep.
Is that, Kevin, is that accurate, the color you have represented there?
This is a little brighter.
This is what it looks like.
Yeah, I'm just curious.
It's almost like a brick red.
I see.
Oh.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, that's,
Yeah.
it's definitely a little brighter.
Yeah, well, it's good. I had somebody remarked, they saw the
Thank you.
illustrations to call it the mailbox. You know,
Yeah,
in English.
well,
It's not an
yeah.
English mailbox.
It's definitely a brighter color than
Okay.
we originally thought. I did have some other images of one of those monuments at the last meeting, so you can see how the lettering actually almost, it does look white. As soon as they engraved that polished India red, the letters pop right out. All right, so should we have a motion for the plaque itself? Or do we want to discuss a little bit about where everything is located, or
No,
or
leave
is this
that
going
up
to
to
be?
the artist.
Yeah, I mean, if we tell Tom this is kind of what we're looking for,
No,
he might be able to find something that's,
I think we should vote after we see what Tom is.
oh yeah, he's going to, once we present, we're moving forward, he's
Oh, I
going to
see.
give
I
us
would
a,
move the concept,
Yeah, the concept.
yep.
All right.
But not to finalize.
all right.
Moving right along here. You know, bedtime is soon.
Okay, there's a motion to move the concept,
Of the bronze plaque.
concept for the bronze plaque. Seconded, Andrew? Or-
Second.
Okay, all those in favor signify by saying aye by roll call. John Fuller.
Hi, John Fuller.
I, Andrew Delory.
Aye, Kevin Higgins. Okay, so I'll call Tom tomorrow and tell him that we're go with that. We're still waiting for the post office to give us the blessing to use the.
He hasn't gotten that back yet?
No, he said that they told him it would only be a couple of weeks, and I think we're at week 3, so maybe, hopefully we get that
This
back
week.
sooner than later. And he can scale, he did say he can scale those soldiers coming out of the Chosen to be larger, so they are the focal point of the bronze plaque, and then the diorama on the outside edges will be a little bit more relaxed and kind of set in the background. But we'll let him, we'll tell him that's what we're, and then let him figure out what type, whether he'll use those images or not, I don't know, but we'll figure that out.
Right.
Okay, so that was the discussion for the design. Katie, did you have anything you wanted to add at all in regards to?
No, I'm just checking to see, when Tom had texted me,
Yes,
when it was supposed to be in.
yes.
Yeah.
It's on the chart, it's on the, agenda.
Waiting here, postal service said about 8 to 10 days, and we're about there. Okay, and that was March 23rd.
Okay.
So he said, they said about 8 to 10 days, but I'm sure the postal service means 8 to 10 business days. Right.
Yeah.
So, yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
okay. All right, so you're right.
All right.
Since we brought it up,
Um,
it'll arrive tomorrow.
Brian?
Thank you. Since I can't see them, I like the concept. I like we talked about the bronze. I like the images. I can't see Katie Marty, but I like where you're going with it. I think it's gonna look really nice. I just wanted to say, just to maybe correct myself.
Can you see that?
Brian, can you see
I
that?
can. Yeah, I like, if you rearrange the pattern, I think
Right.
it'll blend really nicely, but I can abstract my way to thinking how it'll look. I think it'll come out great.
Right.
I just wanted, I know you asked me when the granite was coming in, but I can't believe I forgot this. If the next topic is to talk about the names,
Correct.
I've discussed with Tom how this gets done, so the engraving would take place, not on the site, it would come in engraved.
Correct.
So, I may have misspoke, because if the urgency of at least recognizing the names of those who served in Korea from Orleans is important, but as the design comes together, I just need to let you know that the engraving will happen up front, not at the end. It's not gonna happen in the park. The other thing is, I think you covered this, that Tom said that, given the amount of names, it's easy, the way he's doing this is, he can adjust the angle of the top so that it'll accommodate the plaque as we work through it, and the angle will allow us the names that we are gonna present to you.
Correct. Yeah, Tom said that when the block comes in, they're engraving it right on location. They're not going to try to transport that and then engrave it after the fact.
Right.
So they're going to cut and polish it at the factory and then cut the names, and then it'll come down, and then he'll do the rest of his installation here.
Okay.
Okay.
It's just, I was looking at it and then they were having like, you need to have the last name, the first name, and maybe a middle initial if there's space. You know, that's how the name should be put on it, in my opinion.
Yeah, well, and that's, I think, what we're going to be talking about next are the names coming forward. We have to, you know, depending on the number of names, I know Brian has indicated that, what are each letter is $6. I think the cost was $6 per letter.
Yeah, if it's done in the shop and engraved on location, then yeah, that was for us. It's about $5 or $6 per letter if you do it at once up front like that. And when we talk about the names, we kind of committed that we get it. I mean, there's a lot more names than we originally thought, but I'm glad there's more and they'll be recognized. But yes, that's about the cost to do that. If you do it, if you don't do it up front, it's like 2-3 times that if you do it on site.
Right. Well, I think there was some discussion about making all the names in the park uniform. I don't believe the names on the World War II monument have middle initials.
I don't think so either.
Yeah.
But it's last name first.
Yeah.
Last name and then first name.
Right. So if we stay with that concept with just first and last name with no middle initial, that'll stay with the concept of the other memorials. I know the World War I doesn't have middle initials in it.
Did you want to?
Well, no, I was just thinking it was 100,
Just in a second, that's fine.
but it was 140 names total, correct?
No,
141.
Korea has Korea is, we have 93,
Right.
Korea.
Vietnam's 141.
Oh, okay, all right.
And the monument, I think the way Tom and I left it is he can, deal with, if it turns out that there's a couple more or something has to get added later, I think there's room for another 3, 4, or 5 or something like that, but we budgeted and planned for 93, which we'll present to you. The discussion was, obviously, it's more than we originally thought, but we were going to suggest not using middle initials. That's a cost thing as well, but also space. And then there was a discussion about whether they go on random or alphabetical. And that was something I thought we were going to talk about. So.
Well, I think we have discussed it, and I have talked to Tom. The big concern is if we have to add a name down the road, if we have it installed with alphabetical, and then somebody comes forward and says, oh, my great-grandfather wasn't included, add that name, then it looks out of place. If the last name on there is Zelinsky, and his name is Baker, you put Baker after Zelinsky's, people are going to be like, well. So I think Tom said randomly, they put the names on randomly to begin with. As long as they're on the monument, they're random on that. So if we do add a name down the road, it doesn't look out of place. And that's not just, I mean, we should be good. I mean, especially having the DD-214s and the research that's come forward.
Mm-hmm.
I don't anticipate any names coming up after, but you never know. And, I don't want the next chairman of this committee 50 years from now saying, why did those guys do what they did back in 2026 when But, so I think it would make sense if it was random, and again, I kind of go along with what Tom suggests. It's what he's done on other memorials, so I think we should stick with it. Plus, it kind of matches with what was the, well, actually, the Vietnam and the Korea, I think they were alphabetical, I think. And when we added the other
Yes.
names afterwards, they were obviously not,
Yeah, they have
Yeah.
a separate.
had a
plaque.
separate plaque,
Yeah.
so.
Yeah, that got mixed up. There were first names on the plaque.
Yeah,
Right.
I don't have an issue with that as long as it's last name first.
So you definitely last name first.
Because that's what you're gonna look for when you come to see who's there.
Okay.
Yeah, family name.
All right, so now I suggest we discuss the elephant in the room.
Oh, no.
Hey, Kevin, one thing,
Yes, sir.
I'm the third, and my father was junior, and he was a veteran. I think, well, maybe you should say Cecil Reed was the third, you know.
My dad and my brother are the same way, Frederick Lincoln Higgins and Frederick Lincoln Higgins Jr.
As before, right.
If both of them are on the same monument, it looks funny. You would definitely have to have the junior, second, third, whatever, and I think that would make sense. What do they call that? It's not a,
I used to,
it's not a surname. The
Junior,
Junior, yeah. So I think that definitely should be part of the equation. How do you feel about that, Brian?
Look, I'll defer to you. I mean, however you want the, order or random, but I understand.
There are not gonna be that many of those anyway.
No, it shouldn't be. I mean, I can't imagine it'd be
if
more.
I have to pay the extra $30 or something, I'll be happy to do that.
Yeah, I don't think we're worried about
We
it.
just have to make sure we know who they are.
Right, yeah, and make sure they're in the right theaters of war. All right, so the elephant in the room is, Brian and the 501c3 have discovered that and I'm gonna defer back to you, Brian, what was the number of Vietnam veterans originally on the monument?
Okay, all right, so we go back to, so the original plaques you're talking about from back
Correct.
when? Those plaques had 123 names in total. And we knew when we started our research that it was never clear on the plaques who was Vietnam, who was Korea. I thought I knew at one time, but I was wrong. And I was proven wrong by other families. So there were 123. How it was done, when it was done, it's a long time ago, and we never really found records. So,
And
what we have chatted about is, you can stop me whenever you want.
And, no, I was just gonna say, and by the historian from the state, how many, with the DD 214, how many were identified as being Vietnam veterans?
Vietnam, there are now, well, that was combined when I said 123. Vietnam, there are 141. Korea, there's 93. And so, what are we, 230, hold on, it's at 230. So it is significantly higher.
But we've discovered that there were no DD 214s for 35 members?
Okay, so, all right, so, just to make sure everybody's on the same page. So we had, fortunately, we connected through with the Mass Military Records Office and worked with the archivist who I gave him the names on the plaques, and I let him, and he did his own research to pull all the names in his database that were from Orleans for those theaters. Pulled the list, we reviewed them. Then he, kindly, to say the least, pulled all the DD 214s to match them. So so we reviewed it as a board, and what I'm presenting to you and the town is that we feel very comfortable in terms of saying, okay, after all this work and documentation, we feel comfortable presenting to you the 93 names for Korea, that we can say, okay, the records have been pulled at, they are from Orleans, we've matched it against DD 214s, that's Korea, there's 93. Orleans, as I said, there are 141. Same process, DD 214s matched against all those who said Orleans. mind you, the number did increase over a couple of 2 or 3 weeks ago because it turned out that in the military database, East Orleans and South Orleans had their own designation. So 2 or 3 weeks ago, there were 120, now there's 141. So we think we got it all. So there's
Okay.
100, now, having said that, that's verified records through the office with DD 214s. Back to the plaques. Of the 123 that we had from way back when, it turned out that the office could not match or found discrepancies for about, well, what started off as 35, meaning there are 35 names on those plaques
That's what I have on the display right now.
where either the person was either not from Orleans or there were no records. And so we reconciled a few of them, so the 35 is actually like 30, because we figured out who they were, or that they were double counted, and we got them, with either Korea or Vietnam.
Yeah, just so you know, Brian, I have the Excel spreadsheet up with the 35 names that were technically missing that don't have the DD 214s.
Okay, so, all right, so that is our list of those that I say, not to say unaccounted for is not the right word. Those are the ones that you can, if you scroll down the list, each one has a disposition, if you will. And so if you look at those names, there'll be notes that say they were from Falmouth, or they were from Chatham, or they were from Brewster. So it's verified that they were not from Orleans at all. They were from another town. And some had no records. Now, of these names, I couldn't tell you, we can't tell you that they were Vietnam or Korea, so even if we knew, as of right now, unless somebody dug into all these names, I wouldn't know which memorial to put them on. So the question for you is, we've, painstakingly gone through and said, look, we really feel that, it should be Orleans residents who have DD 214s, and that was the criteria. So we leave that with you and say, we're prepared to, look, we want, we've kind of taken the view that we believe that to be how the monument should be represented. We've always believed that that's how it should be shown. I mean, keep in mind, we have hundreds of veterans represented in the park. They're not from Orleans, and they're on bricks with inscriptions from, all over. Whether now they live in Orleans or they live in California, they're on bricks in the park. But, I'm sure a lot of them would love to be on the monuments, but they're not. So, in any event, so I kind of leave that to say, we'd love for you to look at the 93 and the 141. I don't, for privacy rules and to have someone do this for us, I thought was great. But I think at the end, to be able to say to the town of Orleans, I think we captured it and documented it. So, not to say it's the best we can do. I think it represents a process that you should be happy with as a town, to say we feel comfortable putting these, 230 folks on the monuments. And then these 30 here, I kind of leave for discussion. I have a suggestion, but I don't know exactly how you're going to feel about it, since a lot of these names are not from Orleans. It's obvious, and some, I don't, like I said, there's no record for how they got on the plaques 40 years ago. Question.
Well, I think that's the, as I said, the elephant in the room is that, one is, we don't know what the criteria was back in 1950, 1970, when they put the memorials out there, whether they required the DD 214 or whether they had to show that they were an Orleans taxpayer. I do remember when my brother's name was put on the Vietnam veterans, there was a official publication in the Cape Cod Times, I think, or Cape Cod Standard Times at the time, and it said that if you were a veteran of the Vietnam War, then contact someone at the town of Orleans and your name would be included. But again, I don't know, did they require a DD 214? Did they require were you on the tax rolls? I mean, there are names up there, I absolutely 100% know they lived in Orleans their whole life, and I know that they served. Doug Bohannon, I worked with him on the
Yeah,
police
but he
department.
didn't live in the.
Yeah, Lenny Brewer.
Who did?
Doug Bohannon.
Mom and dad moved there? And they always lived on Harbor Hill.
I don't think so.
Yeah.
But anyway,
But still, Doug was on that, so what, and of course, maybe I could reach out to him, he's still
he's still around.
I could talk to him to find out what the criteria was.
Kimball Coombs was probably.
Yeah, Kimball Coombs graduated high school with my brother.
Yeah.
Dory Klimchuk,
Lon-
he's about as Orleans as
Lon
it gets.
Bob
Yeah.
Gill.
Yeah,
And
Bob
Bob
Gill.
Hill,
Yeah.
who shouldn't be in Falmouth, he's right down the road.
Yeah,
So-
he's not there yet.
So I know that, the original thought was, if you don't have a DD 214, we're taking you off of that memorial. I don't necessarily agree with that
As I
concept.
remember, when they were putting that together, we just had to show that we were an Orleans resident when we enlisted, and that's how we were put on the wall.
Or drafted.
Yeah, see that, and that's that's what's confusing, because if you were an Orleans resident when you were drafted, then the DD 214 should reflect that, I would think.
It does.
Unless, like my dad, and I don't mean to bring my family into the mix, but the reason my dad is not on the World War II monument, he was born and brought up on Barley Neck, lived here his whole life. But when Pearl Harbor happened, he was working in Northampton. He enlisted at the Northampton Barracks or Armory, and so that's his DD 214, even though he was born in Startop on Barley Neck. So, was there provisions made for, I don't know.
I was just, oh, sorry,
I'm sorry.
go ahead. I was
Like
just
all of
gonna
these-
say that if you look at,
I'm sorry.
Michael.
Gail, Mike.
Do all of these have DD 214s?
No.
No, so you don't have them
No.
anyways, to
No.
even compare what they say that they were residents at the time.
Or
No.
not even that, but like
And it's a
Dory,
resident of the town when they actually served in Vietnam or Korea.
that's what you're trying to get,
Yeah,
yeah.
I
But
do.
like Dory, there's misspelling on
yeah,
Dory's
they
name.
corrected it over
So
here.
those are probably the same person. And there's another misspelling, I can't remember who it is now, but.
Well, there's,
somebody does.
they've got Horkins here, I think that's supposed
Supposed
to
to
be
be
Hopkins.
Probably Hopkins,
Um,
yeah. So at least
And I
that
think,
reduces it a bit.
I think even Doug's name, I don't think he has two S's in it,
Neither do
but,
I.
but, so the question for our committee is, do we keep these names? Well, we still have to decide, well, I know Bohannon was in Vietnam, and I'm gonna say
I
Robert,
know
Bob Gill
Kimball
must have
Coombs
been.
was in Vietnam.
Was he in Korea or Vietnam?
Where was
Um,
Bob? Where was Bob?
Yeah, well, but it says there's no record. I mean, I guess
Yeah.
there's other concerns when there's no records of
He
you.
really is.
I've got no record.
Well, that's a tough call.
I look at the optic. My fear is that if we don't put these names back on the memorial, that have been on the memorials for over 50 years, then there's gonna be a hue and cry from the family members, should they know that a family member has been taken off. Now, I know Brian's workaround is to possibly create a brick and put the brick in the park at the foot of whichever memorial they were from. Is that correct, Brian?
And we've talked about it, I won't, speak for Katie and Marty, but we've talked about the idea that if some of these folks aren't from Orleans, or, from another town or something, we can, do a brick for them. It's certainly a lot, it made more sense to us to offer that to you. Like I said, I don't know which monument they would be on unless we did a lot more research here, but to the extent that, there are people on there who weren't from Orleans, we offered to do that as a brick, which is what we would do for anyone.
Hmm.
I personally, I've already explained my side. I don't feel comfortable removing someone's name that's been on the plaques. My gut feeling is that whatever criteria was in place when they enlisted, they met that criteria. And we're looking at a DD 214, but that may not have been the criteria back then, as,
There's a town resident.
Yeah, but how are you gonna know which plaque to put them on?
That's what I'm thinking.
Well, that's
the other-
the next,
that's
that's
the
the
other
next thing.
element.
is,
I mean, you
Well, I
probably
know
gonna
Dory
have to try to
Klimchuk didn't go to
contact.
Vietnam.
Well, I mean, if
What
that's,
are you going to do?
Dory-
The wrong one?
you can find at least half of those people's relatives hanging around, even I know them.
I'm pretty sure Dory flew, well, he flew P-51 Mustangs, but,
Korea.
That's
but it was during Korea.
Yeah.
But,
Yeah,
So there's 22 names outstanding, is that not 30?
yeah, there's only 22.
yeah, I don't think, I might have to scroll down.
No, you.
No,
you
there
did.
isn't any more.
I think you
Yeah.
you probably have to try to contact them.
I think so.
A muffin snack.
There's,
Might have to grab it.
Yep, there it is.
go down on the page.
Oh,
Anybody's
it's
starving,
next
there's
page.
muffins,
Yeah,
blueberry
but-
I
muffins
know, I
here.
might have to.
Anybody's
Yeah.
having a snack
And I
attack?
apologize, this meeting's taking longer
Muffins.
because, yeah.
Tack.
John is,
Oh, I
please.
can't have.
I have to get home before sunset.
Oh, really?
Bye, Gail. Nice to see you. Too. Oh, thank you.
I'll act like
Just-
that.
Thank you.
Actually,
Boy, what
I
to
have-
do.
These are from you?
Yeah,
Oh.
it looks pretty
I don't
good.
know
Then
how-
yours truly, Michael.
Oh, I know you
Smell
did.
delicious.
I don't know how
The
we
trick
would
is to
ask
use
people
real
that.
blueberries, not just the ones that come in the box.
Sorry for the crosstalk, Peggy.
It's okay, that's.
Yeah, we're
that's not-
taking a
that's
snack
not
break
fair.
here, even I'll indulge.
I can't have,
No, you sure?
It's
Oh,
not
that's
fair,
right,
you care to those. who-
especially tomorrow.
So,
My blood sugar was diving.
I have a suggestion if you like.
all ears.
All right, well, I know we offered to do a brick, and I still, really, that's really, I think, so I offered a brick for these folks, but here's what you could do. Well, unless someone is obviously not from Orleans here, I would say we could get them a brick, and if somebody says they're from Chatham or Eastham, I probably would say, no, I
Thank you.
put them on the stump. But for those where we don't have a record, or there's some confusion, or you think someone, you knew someone served, but maybe they didn't live in Orleans when they did, I mean, whatever it is for these names, I might say, we'll offer to put a brick in, but maybe, we just do some more research, go back to the families if we can, or relatives of the family, and actually say, why don't you try to prove it to us? And if we're right or you're right, then we'll add you to the monument and have to figure out which monument it is. So the door doesn't have to be closed, but you could go back and say, well, we left room on the monuments for more people, and if you can prove it, we'll put them in there. Later. I mean, instead of
Well,
deciding right now.
Yeah, no, I get what you're saying, and it's enticing, but it would almost be, Tom would have to make the monument, room for the lettering, for the names, enough, and we don't know which branch, or which war they served in, but it would almost be like he would have to anticipate that a certain number of names are gonna be added down the road, and he would, as such, he would have to make the size of the print for the block itself smaller to accommodate those additional names down the road. Should we ferret out the information and figure out if they were actual residents or, I mean, even going to this second page, Alan Wilcox, Kenny Williams,
Fuzzy Walk.
Buzzy,
Yeah.
Buzzy Wilcox, he's as Orleans as it gets.
Same with Kenny Williams,
Yeah, Kenny, yep.
Charlie Reynolds.
Charlie Reynolds, exactly.
So it just makes me think that, like Cecil indicated, that back then, and maybe it was more the Korea War, more so than the Vietnam War, but they may have only had to show that they had residents, or they were taxpayers within the town. And they could,
Taxpayers don't count.
well, but that would indicate that they were living in two different locations. They could be a taxpayer and have a house in Orleans, but also living in another town.
That's right. And what if they're living in the other town during their time? That's the
I have a
issue.
question. What happens if they were in both wars?
They'll be on both monuments.
Yeah.
I know, but we have to find out
We have
if
to
they
figure
were or
out.
not.
We got David Wise, one of them.
Yeah,
And-
they would be
And what
both.
year did the DD 214s come to be?
They've
Have they
been-
always been?
They've been out, yeah, there's,
I think,
there were some, There were DD 214s for World War II veterans, however,
Okay.
there was some major fire in some
Yeah,
place in the Midwest where a third of all the records were lost. And so it's, but I do know that those DD 214s.
Wayne Richardson
Would it
went
be
to school
some,
with him.
would it be something that they held on to? They had a copy of their own, the family? Do you have
Well,
copies
you-
of yours?
Oh, yeah.
Then,
It's a
I mean,
very
I bet
valuable,
you could find
yeah,
at least
to get
half the
benefits.
people
That was
on
the
that
one thing
list.
they drove in.
Yeah, only recently had they allowed the VA to make a photo of it, and it was good. If you had a photocopy of the DD 214 that wasn't originally signed, didn't count up until recently.
But you, could count for you guys, for this
You,
purpose.
you get it when you leave.
Well, then, I bet, again, if you contacted these 36, 35 people.
Yeah,
I
but
can't
they're
say-
not all alive.
No, but their families
Yeah.
would probably have they wouldn't have discarded them.
Jim Studley.
Maybe you're gonna get half, then you narrow the list down
Yeah.
to 15, I don't know.
Can we hire somebody to do this?
I think the 501c3's been doing a lot of it.
Brian has been, but since all of you are talking and you're like, oh no, this one definitely Orleans, this one was in this or that, Brian and I don't have that kind of information. Is there any way, like, you guys and Gail could just look at the list? I don't know if it could be emailed out and say,
Yeah.
this one is
I-
definitely Orleans.
Cecil and I
this
had
is-
lunch with Doug Bohannon just 4 or 5 days ago.
But do you understand what you're saying? We
Yeah,
don't know
yeah.
these people. We weren't
Yeah.
around,
Um,
so.
You're right, if you know he served in Vietnam or Korea, I mean, we could ferret this list together.
Right.
If there's families in town, I can, but, for us to do it, like, you know what the rules are, it's very hard individually to. because of,
Privacy.
Privacy requirements,
Yeah.
unfortunately, I was able to have the archivist help me, and maybe he can do another deep dive for me, but, we could probably whittle this list down.
All right.
But you already have whittled it down, like, about 25% already.
Right, but we don't know where they were living when they served, that's the problem.
All right.
Well,
In order to expedite things a little bit, I mean, I don't think we're gonna come up with an answer tonight before the close of the
Oh
meeting.
my
So
God.
I am going to make a motion that, Brian, if you could send each of us on the committee a copy of the names that we have, the 35.
Yeah.
And then each of us will have to, because there's a few names on there I know, each of us individually try to figure out who,
As a witness.
right,
that
to
they-
try to verify that.
Right.
And then we can possibly whittle it down. We may not be able to get to the complete bottom. I mean, I know Studley's, I know they live over off of whatever road that is.
Tides End.
Yeah, Tizen. Gary Pease, I think they lived up off of Pine Needles.
Pioneer Way, yeah.
Yeah, Pine Needle Way. So, I mean, there are Bill Moore, he's gone.
David Mazer.
Yep, David Mazer. But we could probably come up, we can whittle it
I'm
down.
sure you could whittle it to half that we know were here, and maybe we can get some answers from their families. Were they resident, because Wayne Richardson still lives here.
Right.
see, that's what I mean.
Right. All right, so I don't think we need a motion, but I think what we could do, Brian, is if you could just get us all the copy, or I can forward the copy that you sent to me to all our members, and we'll start working out on our side to try to narrow down, which branch of service, which war they were in, and we can kind of, like I said, whittle it down for you, so you don't have 35. Maybe you'll only come away with 12 that are unknown. We'll leave them blank for the time being, but for now, we can just try to figure that out.
Yep.
Does that sound reasonable?
Yes.
Sure does.
Yeah.
I mean, if we can narrow it down and figure out which theater they were in, the ones that clearly were from another town, maybe that's easier, but, when it says no records found, I won't individually be able to go and get those records.
Right.
That's where it gets a little harder for us, because it's just a privacy matter.
Okay. All right,
I know
so
it seems odd, you have lunch with somebody, they say, oh, we've got no record of you, or never
No,
seen
no.
you, or seen you.
All right, have them send them that.
Okay, all right, so we'll move on that, and we'll continue to March. Brian, while I've got you on, why don't you real quickly discuss your up-and-coming fundraising, what you're looking to do?
Yeah, and we've been, you know, well, as we plan forward, obviously, with the monuments and, you know, more, you know, obviously some fundraising ideas and thoughts on the park now that it's, you know, we've had our grand opening, we want to continue the momentum and have more programming. But obviously, we want to work toward getting the last monuments in too. And we've discussed for a while having a donor, sponsor, veteran, you know, appreciation event. We've actually tried to tie a couple things together. So we were looking at doing something similar to what we did a couple of years ago, really, and that is using June 6th, which happens to obviously be D-Day. Because of the construction, we weren't able to do it, but we wanted to have I'll call it a rededication, we've used that word before, a rededication of the World War II monument on June 6th. And use that as an opportunity just because of the weather, we got families, we got kids, to do something in the park that's, you know, family friendly. So one that as we go forward, we've talked about some music, food truck, you know, do something as a thoughtful rededication of the World War II since it's its 75th anniversary. Well, actually that passed, so it's
It did.
76th.
It passed the 80th, actually.
So use that as, you know, just build the momentum of the park. It's June. We can get, you know, I think a nice momentum and have, you know, people enjoy the park, discover it. We thought we could do some fun things like find your brick, do something with kids, you know, just to kind of bring the park together and have that an event like that. So that was our thought. It was not a heavy duty fundraising event per se. It's just to kind of discover the park and enjoy it. But use June 6th as a day to do something, because we have so many donors and families who have obviously a connection to World War II. It would be a great way to kind of do something with the monument. And I'm trying to reach them. The family who donated that monument and dedicated it back then, the granddaughter's still around. So I've asked her and a couple other people to see if they'd like to do something, say something. I haven't heard back yet, but I thought there's certainly families who would want to, you know, participate in that, particularly, you know, around, you know, World War II and the meeting of June 6th. So that's our plan. So it would involve just pulling a permit from the Park and Rec and seeing if that's something that, you know, you'd like to participate in, help us with, or just enjoy with us.
No, I'm all for it. I think anything that's going to help with the fundraising efforts is a positive thing. So I don't think you need a blessing from our committee, so to speak. I'm willing to help with anything you need for any of the fundraising stuff. If you do pick the day, June 6th, for the rededication for the World War II, we can certainly publicize it through Ryan Bray, the Cape Cod Chronicle, and we can get some traction with it in that regard. Yeah, I'm all for anything that you've got going forward.
Andrew, we might have Natalia said she'd even do some background vocals for us.
Well, great. I was going to suggest that she might sing Amazing Grace at Memorial Day as well. Would that be appropriate?
Yeah.
So,
Amazing Grace?
Sure.
Yeah. Oh, good. I'm glad I was wondering how she was doing.
Yeah, she's got a band and she does, you know, smaller, you know, she's got a duo, she does solo, and she's got a small band.
Good. Good news.
All right, I'm all for it. Let's see, the only thing left on the agenda at this point, I've got dates set for Site 1 and/or setting up a date for Tom Blute, but we're just going to table that for right now.
We'll table that
a
for a
little
moment.
bit.
I'm going to confirm that if Site 1 Cape Stone can be a general contractor or not.
I've got some basic ideas for setting the agenda for the, I know I got a typo.
Yeah,
It's
right,
3:31, for the April meeting.
Yeah.
What is it,
So I've got,
April, what?
28th.
28th. So I'll set the agenda for that and send it out. If we get any more information in regards to Site 1 and/or Tom Blute coming forward. So that pretty much would be it. John?
So will Andrew or Russ share some of their design thoughts to Tom, so maybe we can just kind of advance
Right.
the process of the design?
Yes.
I think, can we do that outside of the committee, or not?
Having Russ,
Yeah, Russ.
I would, my suggestion would be to have Russ come here when Tom's here, and, you know, we can have a roundtable discussion about the whole idea.
Right.
You know, and-
Yeah, review the whole design and,
Right.
try to get beyond the concept and decide what design and what kind of granite we'll be using.
Yep, absolutely. Anything else you want to discuss?
Motion to close.
I knew it was coming. All those, second, all those in favor signify by saying aye by roll call. Andrew Delory.
Andrew, yeah, Andrew Delory.
John Foley.
Hi, John Fuller.
Kevin Higgins, aye.
Has-